Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing another dialectical behavior therapy instructions video. Today I'm going to be talking about the states of mind, which is found in the mindfulness section of the DBT handbook. So basically what this is that you have three states of mind. You have your rational mind, your emotional mind, and your wise mind. So your rational or reasonable mind is cool. It is ruled by facts, reason, and logic. And when you're in this state of mind, values and feelings aren't important. And then on the other side, you have your emotional mind, and this is hot and mood dependent. This state of mind is ruled by your mood, your feelings, and your urges. And when you're in this state of mind, facts and reason aren't really important. And then in the middle, you have your wise mind. So your wise mind is meant to be your reasonable mind and your emotional mind working together. So this is kind of the inner wisdom that each person has, a synthesis of your reasonable and emotional mind, and it is ruled by both reason and emotion and values them equally. So the way I like to think about these states of mind for myself, or the way I've kind of always described it, is that I am very rarely thinking with my wise mind. Um, I feel like the reasonable mind and the emotional mind are very loud in my head and they are constantly fighting with each other. And my wise mind is probably somewhere in the middle, being like, hey, we can like work together and have a solution that makes us all happy. And that is probably the healthier decision. But the other two sides of my mind are way too loud to do that. Um, so it can be very difficult sometimes. Wise mind is one of those skills that I feel like when I read it, it sounded like super easy. And I was like, oh yeah, I can totally like value, facts and emotions at the same time. Like this is definitely easy. And then when I started breaking it down and thinking about it more, I was like, this is not easy and I am not very good at that. But now I'm going to go through an example of what these states of mind would look like as I'm thinking. So I'm going to start by talking about my reasonable mind. And I tend to think of myself as a pretty emotional person. But as I was, making the notes for this video and as I was going through the states of mind in my DBT group, I realized that I spend a lot of time in reasonable mind in order to ignore my emotions. So if I'm upset about something, I will use facts and logic to kind of shut down that emotion. The clearest example I could think of is if I am thinking about my depression, instead of letting myself kind of feel my feelings and be upset and, all the kind of healthy things to do if you have depression, I would tell myself, other people have it worse. I'm not going to be sad about this. Like, I'm just going to not think about being depressed because other people have it worse. And technically, this is a fact. It is a fact that other people have it worse than me. It's a fact that I have it worse than some other people. Like, obviously, mental health is not a competition, but I was thinking about it that way as a way to kind of make myself not be emotional. And then if I'm talking about my emotional mind through the same example of my depression, this is when I get really hopeless. So when I start to ignore any of the facts or the reason that I've been thinking about in my reasonable mind, I start to say things to myself like, I'm going to be depressed forever. This is pointless. I'm never going to get better. So again, I'm ignoring all of those facts and only focusing on my emotions. Now, wise mind is where I try to land about this issue in particular. It's something I'm working on in therapy and kind of working on for myself. And I probably should be working on it a lot more because it's very helpful to change your mindset about mental health. But I try to use the facts and the emotions together. So this would kind of look like me saying to myself, I'm really depressed right now and it feels like it's going to last forever, but I know that it's not going to last forever. I'm working towards change. And since I'm working really hard towards change and working to improve myself and working to do things to improve my mental health, it's impossible for it to stay the same exact way for the rest of my life. So again, this is kind of the healthier option of the three that I listed, where I can allow myself to feel those feelings, but not let myself get overrun by the feelings. So I'm using both my reasonable mind to not let myself get overtaken by my emotions, but I'm also using my emotional mind to let myself feel my feelings and kind of process things that way. So the DBT handbook talks about a bunch of ways that you can practice wise mind. I'm going to talk about two here. These are the two that I have found most helpful for me. If you're interested in what the other ones are, you can just look up DBT Wise Mind, and you should be able to find the worksheets online that will list a bunch of different ways that they suggest to practice thinking in Wise Mind. So the first one that I use that helps me is to ask your Wise Mind a question. So I will say, if I'm by myself, I'll say it out loud, or I will say it in my head, like a question that I want to ask my wise mind. And then you want to sit and listen for the answer. This one gets a little tricky, especially for me, because you're not supposed to think the answer for yourself. You're kind of supposed to just ask the question, kind of let your reasonable mind, your emotional mind kind of work it out and kind of see where you land on it there. You don't want to ask the question and then immediately think like what you think the answer should be. So this one can be really hard to do sometimes. But with practice, it gets a lot easier. And then the second one, and this is the one that I use the most often, is to ask myself, is this wise mind? So when I'm making a decision about something, I will often try to take a step back and think about, is this decision that I'm making from wise mind or is it from reasonable or emotional mind? And I find that often when I take that step back, I am not thinking in wise mind. I am in one of the other two. And asking myself that question is a way to pause before just jumping right to whatever I think the answer should be based on which mind I'm more in and kind of make a decision that's usually more effective and healthier overall. Another way that this one can be helpful is I'm a very visual person, so I will list like kind of put, reasonable mind at the top, list all the facts of the situation that I'm making a decision about, emotional mind at the top, and then again, list all of my emotions about this decision, and then step back and look at the two lists and try to see how I can incorporate both my reasonable mind and my emotional mind in this decision. And having it visual on a piece of paper like that has been really, really helpful for me. So that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, if anything wasn't clear, please feel free to leave those in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. I will be continuing to make DBT skills instructions videos. I know it's been a little bit since I've done one. I will try to get back on that and make those more often because I find that DBT is so helpful and I really want to share that with everyone else. So if you're interested in seeing more of these kinds of videos, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. I will be continuing to do DBT skills videos, as well as now I'm reviewing some mental health devices that I have and talking about my different diagnoses and trying to spread some education that way. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.